the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reported tonight,
Bimbo Oloyede.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, war against terror records success in Adamawa State as vigilante group in Madagali kills more than 70 insurgents. President Goodluck Jonathan and some African leaders attend security meeting at the instance of the French president to end insurgency. Channels Television leads the digital broadcast revolution in Africa, seeks greater synergy with fellow African broadcasters. And Indians decide. Entrepreneur voted in as Prime Minister, signaling a shift from the Gandhi ruling dynasty.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's external trade value declines by 8.8% owing to the dwindling value of imports and exports.
Sports news: 4 primary schools emerged to represent Lagos at the Channels National Kids Cup.
"70 Boko Haram members met their Waterloo today when a vigilante group in Madagali, a town in Adamawa, rounded them up before killing them. The vigilante members acted after they were tipped off by a local food vendor that the militants were coming to get food before heading out for a major operation to raid villages in the area. The vigilante group laid ambush for the militants, and as the Islamist insurgents, numbering more than 100, showed up in the village to pick up their food, the vigilantes attacked them, killing most of them in a hail of bullets. Today's attack is the second time this week that local vigilantes would defeat the rampaging militants. The first time was 2 days ago when well-armed vigilantes in Kalabalje, Borno State, ambushed a squad of Boko Haram militants. West African leaders will meet in Paris tomorrow to try to improve cooperation in their fight against the Islamist group Boko Haram, which has kidnapped more than 200 schoolgirls and threatens to destabilize the wider region. French diplomats ruled out any Western military operation, but said they expected a regional plan to take shape for countering Boko Haram, which has killed more than 3,000 people in a 5-year campaign to establish an Islamic state in mostly Muslim northeast Nigeria. A French diplomatic source says that the aim is to come up with an action plan this weekend so that these countries, with the support of the West, cooperate in terms of intelligence gathering, information exchange, and border control to stop Boko Haram smuggling weapons and moving freely in this zone. Last week, the federal government asked France, also a target of Islamist militants, for its military intervention against Islamist rebels in Mali, to arrange a summit in Paris with Nigeria's neighbors, Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and Benin, and Western officials. With about 6,000 troops operating in either Mali to the northwest or the Central African Republic to the east, experts say that Paris has a major interest in preventing Nigeria's security from deteriorating, fearing that Boko Haram could spread north into the Sahel and beyond Cameroon into the Central African Republic. The federal government says there was no plan by the president to visit Chibok community, as widely reported in local and international media. The president's advisor on media, Dr. Reuben Abati, through his Twitter handle, today denied any planned visit to Borno State. He wondered where the story emanated from, warning journalists to double-check their facts before broadcasting or publishing stories. The media, both local and international, have speculated that the president will be visiting Chibok today. But of course, President Jonathan is attending a security meeting of some African leaders taking place in France. And the coordinator of the Joint Security Information Center and Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Mr. Mike Omeri, has criticized the news making the rounds that President Jonathan cancelled a planned trip to Chibok in Borno State. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Omeri advised politicians not to politicize the campaign aimed at bringing back the abducted Chibok girls. Mr. Omeri says instead of politicizing the campaign, politicians should lend their support towards bringing back the girls safe and alive.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media.
We woke up this morning with the report widely circulating in various media that the President of Nigeria was to embark on a visit to Chibok. Well, it is not within the purview of this center to announce presidential movements to the public. Mr. President's itinerary is strictly the responsibility of his office.
You recall that it is as a result of this speculative kind of journalism that is coming from, I'm sure, not credible source, not even any source, that the government decided to establish this center for the purpose of giving information to the press. From our checks, that information did not emanate from any source known to government or to this center.
To oil and gas matters now, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, is set to resume constant monitoring and surveillance of fuel stations in the Federal Capital Territory and its environs. This, according to the Zonal Controller of the DPR, Mr. Aliyu Halidu, would help curtail the activities of fraudulent oil marketers in Abuja Zone. The DPR has taken a lot of steps to check the excesses of such criminally minded operations.
We took a lot of actions against the marketers that violated the petroleum regulations, either by hoarding or by shortchanging the consumers, giving them less quantity for their money worth. Some of the filling stations were even sanctioned for a complete 1 year. We have it on record, especially those that diverted kerosene that is meant for the Abuja market that was not brought to Suleja Depot. Some of them are still, even when I left, some of them are still sanctioned. Those that shortchange marketers in terms of giving them less quantity of the product, we close the filling stations until when the marketer rectifies the pump delivery. And those that we found continuously cheating, we close the filling station for a month, and thereafter, if it repeats itself, then the filling station will be closed for 3 months. There are those that we have taken such sanctions on, and we have records.
In Anambra State, the war against kidnappers has hit top gear as the Special Anti-Robbery Squad in that state stormed Aguleri in Anambra East local government area, where it demolished some buildings belonging to people suspected to be kidnappers. The said buildings are located in different quarters of Aguleri, and the operation to demolish them was led by the Anambra State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Usman Gwari. Reacting to the incident, the Governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, said the state government will no longer tolerate a situation where criminally minded people hold residents to ransom.
I want to commend the Nigerian Police Force for their unalloyed support in this exercise, and of course the Joint Task Force for the big hauls they made in 1 week. Those 11 people you saw were all captured within 1 week, based on basic information that we gathered and a few that were arrested at the scene of the crime. And it's continuing. We are going to, this is a note of warning to all landlords and individuals that if you allow your house to be used to keep people that are kidnapped, then as soon as it's proven, we pull down that house.
The Digital Media Future Conference began yesterday with the chairman and CEO of Channels Television, Mr. John Momoh, calling for a stronger synergy towards the planned digital migration for 2015. But beyond 2015, he and his counterparts agreed that opportunities for media engagement in Africa are not being deployed for development, owing to several factors limiting the growth of the broadcast industry. Our correspondent in London, Doris Okemwa, reports.
A meeting of minds, an intercontinental buffet of top-notch broadcasters and communications experts mingle as they settle down to the business of the day. The view from the top of the New Zealand House, venue of Africa's Digital Media Future Conference, lent ambience to the occasion, treating guests to a rare view of London's skyline. A groundbreaking conference organized by the Association for International Broadcasting in collaboration with Channels Television towards seizing the opportunities in the African media landscape.
This is the time for us to seize the day in Africa, and we believe that Channels has what it takes to be part of what promises to be a successful broadcast industry in the continent. Welcome.
As the digital migration set for 2015 unfolds, media content and service delivery plus deficits in skilled manpower constrain the industry.
At the end of the day, it all is doable as long as the key players we have around the continent and key players in this room. In addition to smaller content producers, you have many of them, many of them can team up together and really come up with something which is totally powerful.
And then we've got to stop thinking about the limitations we impose on Africa in terms of price points around set-top boxes, etc. If the content is good, Africans will buy it.
With over 50 countries across the continent of Africa, access to information should be a top strategy for economic growth. Africans are best positioned to tell their own story. However, an integrated media network is lacking. Channels Television has an eye on a pan-African news network.
Currently, with a mostly analog television ecosystem in play, more than 40 million television sets in Nigeria, and around 24 million television homes, Nigeria's digital future is a promising one, in which the core driver is the capacity, as has been said, to marry its evolving television industrial complex to the digital industrial computing complex, which telecoms and optic fiber industries have put in place. So my vision is to work with like-minded colleagues within Nigeria, in Africa and across the globe, to create an enabling environment and consortium that will result in the establishment of a credible news and factual programming-based television network with intent to enlighten through entertainment. The establishment of a low-cost Freeview DTH platform, which millions across Nigeria and Africa will be able to afford.
This digital revolution, Mr. Momo says, calls for partnerships, and to demonstrate the idea of these partnerships, Channels Television has signed a news partnership agreement with the Voice of America for free flow of news and information, as well as joint collaborations.
I think Channels TV has played a big part in revolutionizing African television, Nigerian television in particular.
And then with digital, you get more, you can build a lot more. You involve a whole new ecosystem, more employment, more people are now broadcasters, more people are involved in the business.
Well, Channels Television has taken the conversation of digital migration to a whole new level with this conference, where experts are exchanging ideas to achieve a consensus of concrete deliverables that will enable this digital revolution flourish and ultimately benefit the continent of Africa. From New Zealand House, West End, London, Doris Okemwa reporting for Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, Bring Back Our Girls protests continue in Abuja, and Nigerian women demand the return of abducted students. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.